That's right, he's on the late schedule, right? Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to our service tonight as we commemorate Israel's anniversary, and we welcome folks from Hadassah here, and we're really looking forward to hearing some great readings and people speaking tonight. We'd like to start off with a little bit of singing, though, a little bit of music, and start off with a kind of a lyrical song called Yerushalayim, one of many songs that are Yerushalayim in their title, but this one's a real pretty one that I like a lot. It's just called Yerushalayim. I think you have it in the as the first song in your booklets, and if you know it, please Sing along with me. I'll probably go through it twice. Me'al Pisgah har ha'tzofim eshtachave lach apayim. Me'al Pisgah har ha'tzofim shalom lach Yerushalayim. Me'adorot chalamti alayich lizkor lirot Bior panayich, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, ha'iri panayich livnei. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, mechor votayich yivevnei. Now you can help me sing it this time. Me'al Pisgah har ha'tzofim eshtachave lach apayim. Me'al Pisgah har ha'tzofim shalom lach Yerushalayim. Me'adorot chalamti alayich lizkor lirot bior panayich. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, ha'iri panayich livnei. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, mechor votayich evnei. And now, a little more of an upbeat song, something that Jeff Klepper wrote a while ago, talking about the importance of Israel to us as a place to come home to. It's called Coming Home. I think some of you may know this. I hope you'll sing along with me on this one as well.
And shake along.
Shake along, yeah. It's a little bit of rhythm to it, so please do. Coming home to our people, coming home to our land, coming home from all directions, scattered like the sand, coming home to a future, to the place where we began, coming home, the Shalom, coming home. From the hills of Ethiopia came Beta Yisrael, people with traditions, songs, and stories yet to tell. Because we stood together, shall no longer be alone. Coming home, the Shalom, coming home. Coming home to our people, coming home to our land, coming home from all directions, scattered like the sand, coming home to a future, the place where we began, coming home, to Shalom, coming home. From a city deep in Russia, a refusnik now is free. The years of waiting over, she rejoins her family. If we stand as one together, they will never be alone. Coming home, to Shalom, coming home. To our people, coming home to our land, coming home from all directions, scattered like the sand, coming home to a future, to the place where we began, coming home, the Shalom, coming home, the Shalom, coming home. Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to everybody in our community and in our Hadassah community as well. And we're here as we do every year to celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut, and I know that this year we're celebrating differently than we've ever celebrated before, and our feelings and we're kind of torn apart this year, and we have been for 7 months now, and there are so many conflicting emotions running through our bodies. I know every single day since October 7th, I just have not been the same person, and we've been thinking about Israel in ways that we haven't been in prior years, and our faith is shaken, and we're so conflicted about so much of what's happening in the Middle East, and it's affected us on every single level. It's affected our relationships with other people. It's affected our relationships sometimes with our families, and the entire world, and the rise in anti-Semitism has affected so many of us and our kids, and so the paradigm of Israel, we still hold fast to that, and that this is our homeland, these are our people, and I know I feel more alone this year. I feel like separated from the rest of the world in terms of others understanding how we're experiencing all of this. But tonight is all about celebration. Tonight is all about what Israel means to us as a people, and what it means to us intergenerationally and historically, and all of the wonderful things that Israel has provided for us, and to the world, which has been invaluable. So hopefully we can still find a place for joy in our hearts for this occasion, and also, as Hatikva says, find the hope for a better future than the way things are right now. So with all those thoughts in mind, please rise in body and spirit as we open the doors of the Ark and the Ark curtain. Please be seated. And we're going to be jumping back and forth this evening from our service supplements to the prayer book, and so we're now going to continue with the singing of Lecha Dodi on pages 138 and 139. Welcoming the Shabbat bride.
And you may welcome the Shabbat bride with your shakers as well, as we do a contemporary version that we like to do. Lecha Dodi, lekrat kala, b'nei Shabbat Mikabela. Lecha Dodi, lekrat kala, b'nei Shabbat Mikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmiyanu el Amiuchad. Adonai Echad, U'Shemo Echad, Im Tiferet B'Lihila. Lecha Dodi, lekrat kala, b'nei Shabbat Mikabela. Lecha Dodi, lekrat kala, b'nei Shabbat Mikabela. Verse 5. Itoruri, Itoruri, Tiva Ori, Umi Ori. Mikabela. Last verse. Oi Shalom, Ateret Ba'ala, Gam B'Simcha, U'Gahola, Tov Emunei, Am Segula, Boi Kala, Lekadodi, Lekrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Mikabela. Lekadodi, Lekrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Mikabela. B'nei Shabbat, Mikabela.
Now we're gonna continue in our service supplements. I'd like to invite up Joan, Dana, Kathy, and Kim.
Israel, a land, a people, a dream, a hope. On this special Shabbat, we celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut, the Independence Day of Israel, celebrated annually on the 5th day of the Hebrew month of Ayah. It was on that date in the Hebrew year 5708, corresponding to May 14th, 1948, that the State of Israel was proclaimed. From the moment Israel was declared a state, it faced many challenges. With huge waves of immigrants after the war in Europe, Israel had to develop an economy and fertilize a barren land against a backdrop of constant aggression from its neighbors. Each decade brought with it hard-won successes.
We can't speak about the history of the State of Israel without telling the story of Hadassah. When Hadassah was founded in 1912, there was no State of Israel. Zionism was capturing the imagination of Jewish leaders worldwide. In Baltimore, an accomplished woman named Henrietta Zold encouraged a small group of Jewish women to work toward bringing much-needed medical care to Palestine. She named her organization Hadassah. It became one of the largest Jewish organizations in the world. On this special Shabbat, we remember this visionary woman who has inspired others to support and maintain the land and the people of Israel with practical Zionism, a caring and compassion that has become synonymous with Hadassah.
This organization that began in pre-state Israel as a tiny public health clinic with 2 nurses has flourished over a century into 2 world-class medical and research centers in Jerusalem, bringing advanced medical care to all, regardless of race, ethnicity, or nationality, earned Hadassah a nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize in 2005. Hadassah established Israel's first teaching hospitals, its first nursing, medical, and dental schools, and established the first cancer center, burn, trauma, and neonatal units, bone marrow transplantation center, and first stem cell research center in the country. The Hadassah Medical Organization houses Israel's national skin bank and the only bone marrow registry for Arabs in the world. Known for its promising work in regenerative medicine for diseases like MS, ALS, and Alzheimer's, Hadassah's pioneering medical research impacts all of humanity.
Hadassah has played an essential role in changing the face of Israel and setting standards of excellence in providing healthcare, education, youth programs, and jobs. We have transformed the land, cared for the environment, and remained devoted to improving the quality of life for all the people of Israel. Hadassah's priorities have always been health, Israel, and advocacy. Our members are empowered to advocate for human rights and women's rights, making a difference in the lives of families everywhere. Our history is the history of Israel, and we are partners in its past, its present, and its future.
Thank you, and now we're going to continue with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. I'd like to invite Harriet Walden to come on up and light the candles for us this evening. And the special introduction is on the next page of your pamphlet.
As we gather to celebrate Shabbat and the anniversary of the State of Israel, let us stop for a moment to listen to our hearts and our connections with our Jewish state. Imagine listening to Hebrew being spoken on the streets, listening to the voices of prayer rising from the Western Wall, listening to the prayers for peace coming from all corners of the state. And as we listen, let us rejoice in the peace and light of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Praised are you, O God, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us by your commandments and commanded us to light Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק ner shel Shabbat. Amen, 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 amen.
We now continue our service on page 146 in our Sidurim, our prayer books. Please rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorah. Baruch Adonai Hamavorah. Leolam Va'ed.
Page 148. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv harabim v'chochma poteach she'arim u'vitbuna mishaneh itim u'machalif et hazmanim u'misader et ha'kochavim v'mishmerotehem v'rakia kirsono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla Umavdil bin Yom Uvin Laila, Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Arabim. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Together, blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on an evening. Page 150.
Ahavat olam bit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemadita, Otanu lemadita. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachvenu uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha v'nizmach v'divrei Toratecha u'mitzvotecha ve'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu v'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Yahavatcha al tahasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Never remove your love from us. Together, praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Pages 152 and 153. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Please join me on page 154, the chanting of the V'ahavta. V'ahavta Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol modecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlechtecha v'derech, uvshachbecha uvkumecha, uvshachtam ha'od al yadecha, v'hayu letotachot ben einecha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha, v'ma'an tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kedoshim le'lohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Together, You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God, Adonai Elohechem Emeth. Now we turn to page 158 to continue with the singing of Mi Chamocha, the song the Israelites sang when they passed through the Red Sea to freedom from Pharaoh's grip. And get your shakers ready.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Norah tehilo, oseh peleh. Norah tehilo, oseh peleh. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ve'eli anu ve'amaru, ve'eli anu ve'amaru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Blessed is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praise to you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Continue on page 160 with the singing of Hashkivenu, hoping and praying that God will establish a shelter of peace around all of us.
Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim. Ushmor tzedkeinu L'chaim u'shalom me'ata v'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 162, we continue with the singing of the Shalom.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat, Bindor Tambourine, Olam, Bishamru, B'nai Yisrael, HaShabbat, Lazor, Et HaShabbat, Bindor Tambourine, Olam. B'nai Uvein, B'nai Yisrael, B'nai Yisrael, Odi le'olam, Bishamru, B'nai Yisrael, HaShabbat, Lazor, HaShabbat, Bindor Tambourine, Olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz, Bishamru, B'nai Yisrael, HaShabbat, Lazor, et HaShabbat, Bindor Tambourine, Olam. Uvayom hashvi'i, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Shamru, B'nai Yisrael, HaShabbat, Lazor, et HaShabbat, Bindor Tambourine, Olam.
And we continue now on page 164 as we rise for the next section of our service, the Tefillah.
Ananananananana Adonai, Anananananana Spatai Diva, Anananananana Upi Yagi Tehilateha, Anananananana Adonai, Anananananana Spatai, Ananananana Upi Yagi Tehilateha, Anananananana Adonai, Anananananana Spatai Diva, Anananananana Upi Yagi Tehilateha, Anananananana Adonai, Anananananana Spatai Diva, Anananananana Upi Yagi Tehilateha, Anananananana Spatai Diva, Anananananana Upi Yagi Tehilateha, Anananananana Spatai Diva, Anananananana Upi Yagi Tehilateha. Page 166. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer, U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham v'Ezra Sarah. Page 168. Ata Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol ata Rav leHoshia, Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechaye hakol b'rachamim rabim, Sohomech nofnim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umkaye emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech mimi, Umkaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atala hachayot ha'akol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Page 170. Atah kadosh v'simcha kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom v'hallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Together, you are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We remain standing as we call up Shalva to read a special prayer for the state of Israel on page 552.
אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו, הגן עליה בעברת חסדך, ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך, ושלח אורך ועמיתך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה, ותקנם בעצה טובה מלפניך, ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה, ונאמר אמן.
Amen.
Oh, English.
O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the drawing of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to continue with a special additional reading in your service pamphlets, the bottom of the fourth page, I think. Special prayer for Yom HaAtzmaut. We read together. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Let there be peace in your homes, safety within your borders. For the sake of my people, my friends, I pray to find peace. For the sake of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. Please be seated. And we now continue with the singing of Shalom Rav, a song for peace. Page 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasih Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasih Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasih Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasih Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarich et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasih Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam.
Together, grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment of your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael ha-shalom. And now, before we continue with the Mishaberach, Get Well prayer, we have a special prayer for the welfare and return of Israel's captured and missing from among our brothers and sisters. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham and Sarah, Yitzhak and Rivka, Yaakov, Leah, and Rachel, may God bless the captured and the many kidnapped citizens, men, women, and young children, held in painful captivity in Gaza among them, along with all who are in captivity and distress. May it be your will, Adonai Tzvaot, God of hosts, to rescue and redeem these souls and return them swiftly to their families in the land of Israel. As it is written, thus said God, a cry is heard in Ramah, wailing, bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children. She refuses to be comforted. Now we continue with the Mishaberach prayer on page 371. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. This evening we think in particular of Roz Gordon, Larry Kornetsky, Invar Shirion, Michael Nussbaum, Monty Pearson. And at this time, if there are names of others you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, we're prepared to recite the Get Well prayer. You may say their names aloud or in your hearts as I look across the room, but I also wanted to continue by thinking that we keep everybody in the state of Israel in our hearts and all of those who are in the midst of a horrible war and can't get out of it. And all of us as well in all of our hearts, because we all need healing at this moment.
Dave Bogan, Sharon Lipman,
Richard Barron.
David Stein.
Declan Lyons, Douglas Gabra,
Malka Fega.
Robin Ovian,
Richie Chason.
May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for all of their and all of our health to be restored and all of our strength to be revived. May God swiftly send all of us a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Misheberach Avotenu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We pause for a moment of silent prayer. Now we continue with the singing of Oseh Shalom, another song for peace, on page 180.
Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uya, Oseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'yakol, Yisrael, V'imru, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uya, Oseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'yakol, V'yakol, Yisrael, V'imru, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uya, Oseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'yakol, Yisrael, V'imru, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uya, Oseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'yakol, V'yakol, Yisrael, V'imru, V'imru, Amen.
It seems like the older I get, the more it seems like it was just yesterday that I've been introducing Phyllis Burlow to come on up to introduce our speaker. And I tell the same story every year, but it feels like I just told it just yesterday about remembering Michael sitting back there in the congregation. It doesn't matter how many years ago it was now, and always with his hand cupped to his ear, like trying to hear every word of wisdom emanating from my mouth. Is that right? He would have been better off not hearing. But Michael was such an integral part of our congregation, and he was a core member of our community, and he was the eminent leader of our community who led us to become what we are today. And he had such, not only was he such an integral part of our congregation, but he's had such a love for the state of Israel, and among his most cherished memories were he and Phyllis going to Israel and just loving being in the Jewish state. So I won't take any more of whatever you were planning on saying. So Phyllis, come on up to say a few words and introduce our speaker this evening.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. Yom HaAtzmaut is always a great opportunity to bring together Temple Shalom Emeth and Hadassah. The same women who signed the charter that founded Hadassah Shoshin Valley back in 1967 also were instrumental in helping to create a spiritual home for Jewish families in our area. That home eventually evolved into Temple Shalom Emeth, so it is natural for us to celebrate together at this service. In the past, this service has also celebrated recipients of the Michael Burlow Jewish Education Award for teens traveling to Israel on birthright. But there are no recipients this year. The award was established 24 years ago in memory of Michael, who was the co-founder and first president of Temple Shalom Emeth. He was also a Hadassah associate. As the rabbi said, Michael and I visited Israel for the first time in 1967 to celebrate Hadassah's 75th anniversary. We were impressed, we were excited by the land, its people, and its history, and we hope that everyone would have a chance to go there someday. In spite of today's current situation, I know that Michael would have proudly celebrated Israel's 76th anniversary with all of us tonight. Israel is the embodiment of dreams. We celebrate not because things are perfect, but because the dream is alive. Israel's national anthem, Hatikva, means hope. Hadassah gives Israel and the world hope. And coupled with this temple's efforts for social justice, led by Rabbi Abramson, we will all continue to make this world a better place. This week's Torah portion is Emor. It commands us, among a whole list of things, to remember and observe Jewish holy days, to keep alive an eternal flame, the Ner Tamid, and to speak. Hadassah certainly knows how to speak, especially on issues requiring action or advocacy. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Louise Bork, the current president of Hadassah, Northern New England. Louise's family has led a strong and lengthy connection to Israel, to Hadassah, and to its founder, the brilliant Henrietta Zold. Louise, we are so pleased that you could be with us tonight.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Phyllis, for that lovely introduction. And thank you all here at Temple Shalom Emeth for inviting me and for having this joint service with Hadassah. It's very appropriate. I want to welcome everyone, and I want to say how pleased I am to be here as the president of the Northern New England region of Hadassah. There was a lovely introduction to Hadassah in the reading that took place earlier in the service. To flesh that out a little bit, though, I would like to say that as the child of a Holocaust survivor, I was raised in a secular home. So as Phyllis alluded to, the family that I married into was the Hadassah connection. My mother-in-law of blessed memory was very active at the national level, and her parents, who are my husband's grandparents, actually knew Henrietta Zold. And my husband's great aunt Rivy donated the first ambulance to Hadassah Mount Scopus. And a couple of years later, the donation of a second ambulance was made to Ain Karam because there should be one at each hospital. Henrietta Zold was an astonishing woman, and many people don't know that she actually didn't found Hadassah until she was over 50 years old. So it was in the second half of her life that she made this incredible organization. It did begin, as was stated earlier, with 2 nurses in a clinic. She had been impressed on her trip to Israel, or Palestine at the time, with the amount of disease and especially trachoma among children, which was treatable even then, and today mostly doesn't exist because newborns get drops in their eyes and that takes care of it. But it was a problem, especially in more primitive places like Palestine at that time. And the clinic and the nurses became the foundation of Israel's healthcare system. and the hospitals grew, and other locations were developed, and community health care was introduced, and it snowballed. I recommend reading Devorah HaKohen's biography of Henrietta Zold called To Heal a Broken World, and that is an excellent description, and it reads very, very easily. It reads like a novel, and how the Hadassah was founded and how it evolved into Israel's healthcare system. The second project that Henrietta Zold began was the youth villages, and both Hadassah Medical Organization and the youth villages are still part of Israel's infrastructure today. Hadassah has two villages that we manage. One is called Mea Shveya and the other is Hadassah Nurim. And those youth villages were established initially to absorb the orphan population from Europe after the war, because children were coming and they had no parents and no other relatives, so they had to be taken care of, they had to be educated, they had to be fed, sheltered, and nurtured, and the youth village system did that. It does it in modern times for children who come from Russia and from Ukraine, and today it is housing displaced Israeli families who have had to leave the north and the south because of the war. So the initial purpose lives on, but the impetus to create productive members of society was a very good and long-term goal, which was achieved. The Hadassah in the medical organization historically has demonstrated what's known as a shared society, in that the doctors and nurses and patients are all of all religions, of all ethnic backgrounds, and that was commendable even before the current situation. The main development recently at Hadassah Hospital is on the Mount Scopus campus. We have a new rehabilitative medicine center called the Gandel Rehabilitative Medicine Center. And that was originally scheduled to be opened in April of this year, so last month. But in fact, when the war broke out and the need for rehabilitation of wounded soldiers and civilians skyrocketed, Hadassah was able to open the center in January. And it's anticipated to treat 70,000 people a year. Hopefully it won't be necessary to treat that many, but they have lots of beds and they have an outpatient service that's highly productive. It's state of the art. I've seen pictures, it's amazing. One of the things they have is a treadmill, there are actually two, developed with NASA, that enable people who are injured and require to relearning walking to be able to walk without weight bearing or with minimal weight bearing. The therapist controls the amount of weight bearing with a with a clicker. I mean, it's astonishing, and the machine provides the support so that a person can walk, but it's like they're weightless, which is where the NASA technology comes in. The other aspect of the Gandel Rehabilitation Center is that the approach to rehabilitative medicine in Israel is holistic. So it's not just the physical therapy, the occupational therapy, speech therapy, what have you, but it's also mental health therapy. So there's a whole mental health cadre of professionals that support people who have been wounded and traumatized in that aspect of their healing as well. The most recent Hadassah on Call podcast, which is a great and very interesting podcast. The most recent one is about PTSD, and it talks about Hadassah's approach and success with their approach. There are some neuroscience techniques that can be used to help people process their trauma that have been very effective and are used there. So even in the current situation with new facilities, Hadassah is at the cutting edge of what is being done with rehabilitative medicine. So in addition to Hadassah Medical Organization, HMO, and the youth villages, the other two aspects of Hadassah's focus are Zionism in terms of education and advocacy, and women's health, both in Israel and in the United States, also in an education and advocacy position. So when you go in for the ONEG, there are brochures on the tables. If you would like, if you are not already a Hadassah member and would like to join us, there's information about that. If you are a Hadassah member and would like to become an annual giving member, a sustaining supporter, we would welcome you. And there's also some facts and some other information that you may find useful. So I could go on, but out of respect for the hour and the evening, thank you very much for your time and your attention, and I'll look forward to seeing you after services. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks.
Shabbat Shalom.
Well, thank you very much for a very interesting, wonderful, inspiring talk. I learned a lot. It got me very curious about how the non-weight-bearing, what do you call them? But how they work. Treadmills. Yeah, oh, okay. I knew Hadassah was special, but that's great. Well, we're going to sing a little bit, a couple more songs in honor of Israel, and particularly in honor of Jerusalem. The first song especially is that, and it's one that many of you are familiar with, and it's around here somewhere, but it's by Naomi Shearer, right? Shimmer? I always say that wrong, Shimmer. And it's a beautiful song. It was once considered for the national anthem, but was not eventually chosen for that, but it was, I think it was in a competition for that, but it's very beautiful in its own right. It was written originally with 3 verses, and then another verse was added after Jerusalem was united. And so there was the first 3 verses have a sadness to them, and then there's an optimism in the last verse. We have a version that we do with English words in the verses and the Hebrew in the chorus. Just the first verse, and then that last more optimistic version. Jerusalem of gold, or Yerushalayim shel zahav. Please sing along if you know it. As clear as wine, the wind is flying among the dreamy pines. As evening light is slowly dying, and a lonely bell still chimes. So many songs, so many stories, the stony hills recall. Around her heart my city carries a lonely ancient wall. Yerushalayim shel zahav, v'shel nefoshet, v'shel or, halo lechol shirayim, ani kimor. Yerushalayim shel zahav, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. Back to the wells and to the fountains within the ancient walls, the sound of horn from Temple's mountain again so loudly calls. From rocky caves this very morning 1,000 suns will glow, and we shall go down to the Jordan by way of Jericho. Yerushalayim shel zahav, shel nechoshet v'shel or, halo lechol shirayim ani kinor. Yerushalayim shel zahav, shel nechoshet v'shel or, halo lechol shirayim ani One more? Let's pick things up a little bit with another song, also about Jerusalem or Yerushalayim. This one is one that we can all get up and dance to if we have room here. One that we like to do, and it's very often done as an accompaniment to the Hora, but it's good in its own right. And we can shake to it, absolutely. And that's what I'm looking for. It's called Lach Yerushalayim, to you, Jerusalem. So sing along and shake along with this one too. Lach Yerushalayim, bein kamot ha'ir. Lach Yerushalayim, or chadash ya'ir. B'libeinu rak shir echad kayam. Lach Yerushalayim, in migdal David. Lach Yerushalayim, in Izadami. Lach Yerushalayim, in migdal David. B'libeinu rak shir echad kayam. Lach Yerushalayim, bein yadein vayam. Lach Yerushalayim, bein yadein vayam. Thank you.
Now we continue our service with the Elenu, which you may find on page 586. Please rise in body or spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, v'keit gedula liyotzeh b'reshit, shelo asanu ki goyei ha'arasot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kichol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated.
And please join me at the top of page 588. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו Begavhe meromim, Hu Eloheinu Einod, Emet Malkeinu Efezulato, Kakahatu, V'Torahato, V'yadata Hayom, V'hashivota, Elvavecha, Ki Adonai, Hu Elohim, Bashamayim Mima'ar, V'Aaretz, Mitachat, Einod. Page 591. You join me in the contemporary version that we do of Bayom Hahu, starting with V'ne'emar. V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech HaKol Haaretz. Bayom Hahu, V'hiya Adonai, Echad U'shemo Echad. V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech HaKol Haaretz. Bayom Hahu, V'hiya Adonai, Echad U'shemo Echad. Bayom Hahu, V'hiya Adonai, Adonai Echad U'shemo Echad. Bayom Hahu, V'hiya Adonai, Echad U'shemo Echad. V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech HaKol Haaretz. Bayom Hahu, V'hiya Adonai, Echad U'shemo Echad. Echad U'shemo Echad. Echad U'shemo Echad.
And the introduction to the Kaddish prayer may be found on page 597. Remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow together. For their dreams left unfulfilled and lives taken too soon, we remember. Remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage be our inspiration and strength. For life cut short and vision unrealized, we remember. Remember the fallen of our armed services, the victims of terror and tragedy. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of freedom. They were in love with our land and in love with life. For the agony, the tears, the mothers and the fathers, for the children who were and for the children yet to be, we remember. Page 599. We think now of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We recall the 3 hostages whose bodies were retrieved today: Shani Luke, age 23, Amit Buskila, age 28, and Yitzhak Galertner, age 56. We add to their names the names of those whose yard sites or anniversaries whose deaths occur this week: Bernice Brown, Alan Smilowitz, Patricia Smith, Kate Spector, Seaman Vilner, Lenore Waldron. And at this time, if there are names of others you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer. You may say their names aloud or in your hearts as I look across the room.
Dora Deutsch.
We recall all of those who have fallen in defense of the state of Israel and all of those innocent victims who have been killed since October 7th. Zichronam Livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. We turn to page 598 and rise in body or spirit for the Kaddish prayer. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shmei Rabbah, V'yamad divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei v'chol beit Yisrael. V'agala v'zman karim v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba l'barach l'olam Elohei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei v'kudasha v'rechu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'eran v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba mishmaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'ramah, uyaseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to our country, to Israel, to all Israel and all the world, as we say together. Amen. Please be seated. I'd like to call on Mindy Stanley, our perpetual announcement giver, for the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to see everyone here tonight to recognize Israel's independence, year 76. It's wonderful. So we have a few special events coming up. We have a simple Shabbat coming up next Friday that includes a very special treat. There'll also be a baby naming, and the mother of the baby was someone who grew up here at this temple. We also will have on May 27th, Memorial Day, we traditionally take part in Woburn's Memorial Day ceremonies at the Jewish cemeteries, and will be led by Cantor Ben Silver. And that will be the morning of Memorial Day, May 27th. And on some other news, one thing our temple's been doing is supporting immigrants to our country, and we do that by donating diapers and wipes, something very much needed by the immigrant community. So if you'd like to give, please bring to the temple whenever you're here, and you can speak to Robin about it as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Mindy, and thank you to all of our Hadassah friends who participated this evening. Thank you very much to Louise for a very informative talk. I learned a lot, and I'm also curious about the weightless therapy.
I need some weightless therapy.
And Phyllis, thank you for organizing the service as always and doing an excellent job of introducing. And so we have we've had all these special services over the past few weeks, and we're looking forward to just taking a little breather the next couple of weeks and just having nice, simple Shabbat services without too much happening. And so the baby I'm naming next week, she's the daughter of Alyssa Friedman, who I don't know if any of you remember. Mindy remembers. So I bought mitzvah her, and now I'm naming her daughter. So that's always an extra special thing to have happen here. So I hope you'll join us for all of that. And I think we'll continue then with, thank you to everybody who sponsored the Oneg. I'd like to invite Barbara Siegel to come on up to lead us in the Kiddush, which I think is a special Kiddush. Or maybe it isn't. On page 122 and 123 in your prayer. Yes. Please rise in body or spirit.
I'm encouraging you.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Borei Peri Hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho, v'ahava uvratzon, inkilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziyah Mitzrayim, ki banu bacharta, yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'yahava uvratzon, inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Thank you.
And now we'll continue with the motzi. And Esther, why don't you come on up and hold the challah? And if anybody wants to join you, they may, but they don't have to. Saul. I usually have the kids hold it, but I thought since this was your first time, you'd both like to hold it together.
Motzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together, as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Great job, Saul.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now please be seated. So it's our tradition in our congregation to read a very special letter of I Was a Witness to Israel's Independence by Golda Meir. So Agnes Bales always used to read this prayer. Can I have a seat? So Agnes is a Holocaust survivor. She always used to come up and read this reading in a very, very moving way. And so she's no longer able to be up to here to do this for us. And Mindy has read it a couple of times, and Mindy's going to come up and read part of it with us. And now we have Shalva Clement, who's also going to come up and read this prayer. And I interviewed Shalva and Chaim yesterday? Yeah, at their home yesterday, because what I didn't know is that Shalva came to Palestine before it was Israel, 1947. And she lived through the independence of the state of Israel, and she was explaining to me what it was like for her to be there as Israel was proclaimed a state. So it's amazing that she is with us, and she was telling me all these details about how people were dancing in the streets and having bonfires and just celebrations all night long. And so to have a living witness of that exact moment is really extra special for us. So Shalva, come on up, and Mindy, come on up to read I Was a Witness to Israel's Independence, which Shalva actually was, in your service supplements.
I Was a Witness to Israel's Independence by Golda Meir. On Friday, May 14, 1948, the 5th of Iyar, 5708, the Jewish state would come into being, its population numbering 650,000, its chance of surviving its birth, depending on whether or not the Yishuv can meet the assault of 5 Arab enemies actively aided by Palestine's 1 million Arabs.
The phone rang in my room. A car was waiting to take me to the museum for the proclamation of ceremony. It had been decided to hold the ceremony at the Tel Aviv Museum, not because it was such an imposing building, which it wasn't, but because it was small enough to be easily guarded. A large crowd was already waiting outside the museum by the time I arrived.
At exactly 4 p.m., the ceremony began. Ben-Gurion, wearing a dark suit and tie, stood up and rapped a gavel. According to the plan, this was to be the signal for the orchestra, tucked away in the second-floor gallery, to play Hatikva. But something went wrong, and there was no music.
Spontaneously, we rose to our feet and sang the national anthem. Then Ben-Gurion cleared his throat and said quietly, "I shall now read the scroll of independence." It took him only a quarter of an hour to read the entire proclamation. He read it slowly and very clearly, and I remember his voice changing and rising a little as he came to this paragraph.
Accordingly, we, the members of the National Council, representing the Jewish people in the land of Israel and the Zionist movement, have assembled on the day of the termination of the British Mandate for Palestine, and by virtue of our natural and historic right and of the resolution of the General Assembly of the United Nations, do hereby proclaim the establishment of a Jewish state in the land of Israel, the State of Israel.
The State of Israel. My eyes filled with tears and my hands shook. We have done it. We had brought the Jewish state into existence, and I, Golda Meibovich Meyerson, had lived to see the day. Whatever happened now, whatever price any of us would have to pay for it, we had recreated the Jewish national home. The long exile was over. Now we were a nation like other nations, masters of the first time in 20 centuries of our own destiny. The dream had come true. Too late to save those who had perished in the Holocaust, but not too late for the generations to come.
So long as still within the inmost heart, a Jewish spirit sings, so long as the eye looks eastward, gazing towards Zion, our hope is not lost. That hope of 2 millennia to be a free people in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We rise for Hatikva. Phyllis?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Join us for the Oneg.
you.